Will the Bengals take down the Carolina Panthers, get to 5-4, and feel good about themselves going into the bye week? Let's give our keys to victory and our official prediction right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. Hi again, everyone, and welcome in to CBT Cincinnati Bengals Talk. I'm James Rapien of allbengals.com. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and it's Bengals, it's Panthers, it's Week 9 of the NFL season as Cincinnati enters with a 4-4 record, the Panthers 2-6, and let's be honest, this is a game that at the start of the season, before the season, when the schedule came out 3 weeks ago, a lot of people, probably a lot of Panthers fans, had the Bengals winning. And yet, I think it's going to be a tough one, right? You have Chidobe Awuzie out, and I think that is going to impact what the Bengals do on defense, much like, obviously it's going to have an impact, but much like not having Jamar Chase impacts their offense, where there's some growing pains. Chidobe Awuzie could guard anyone. You could put him against a tight end if you needed to. The tackle he made, for example, on Kyle Pitts on the goal line a few weeks ago, you could put him against big receivers. You could put him against short, twitchy, quick receivers. It didn't matter. And he was clearly their number one corner. So losing him, I think he's like their third or fourth most important player. It depends on where you put Trey Hendrickson in him. And if you're ranking the top 5 in some order, it's probably, it's certainly Joe Burrow 1, Jamar Chase 2, either Cheeto or Trey Hendrickson 3. The other one, Hendrickson or Cheeto 4, and then DJ Reader 5. And so they're without 3 of those guys for this matchup. So first key is simple. Get off to a fast start. Start fast, boom. Don't let this young, suddenly confident Carolina Panthers team that's 1-2 of 3. They're 2-6, but they're still alive in the NFC South. They should have beat the Falcons last week. They're certainly believing in themselves more than they did just a few weeks ago. PJ Walker playing with confidence. Had an ugly pick 6 last week, but also had one of the best throws ever, according to Joe Burrow, that 67-yard air yards. I think it was 62 yards officially. Touchdown to DJ Moore. And to start fast. And so how do you do that? Well, first things first, this Carolina Panthers team, they want to run the ball. And so try to slow that down. But to me, this is all about the offense. Can the offense without Jamar Chase against a defensive end like Brian Burns, who moves around on both sides, against a defensive front that's pretty good. And Brown, the kid from Auburn, is one of the top 10 pick, right? And so when you have guys like that, can you block them? Now, the interior of the Bengals offensive line has played pretty well. And Cordell Volson, a lot of people were looking at him. I know I was, as kind of the weak link coming into the year. I think he's been solid. I think the interior is fine. You're not really concerned about that too much. But the tackles, how will they hold up? Will Jonah Williams be able to bounce back? Can La'el Collins build off of what he did in weeks 6 and 7, not necessarily week 8? So this offense has to start fast. This team has to start fast. And whether or not the Bengals receive the kick to start the game, I don't think it matters, and I'm not sure if they should. Your defense is going to have to get stops regardless. But getting the crowd into it, getting a little confidence, getting a little momentum. This team has no momentum right now. It feels dead, right? It just feels like everything stopped, everything halted, and that's what happens when you lose your second most important player and your third or fourth most important player in a span of a week. That's what happens. And so can they recover from that? Can they find a way to get a win? Fast start, key number 1. Key number 2, you got to stop this run game and really slow it down. And that's going to be hard without DJ Reader. That's going to be hard without Josh Tupou. And we need to see this defensive front for the Bengals find a way to do that. And B.J. Hill, certainly a big game for him. This front 7, whether it's Jermaine Pratt, whether it's Logan Wilson, need to make some plays. And whether it's P.J. Walker in space, whether it's Deontay Foreman, who looks like baby Derrick Henry, whether it's Chuba Hubbard, who's practiced in a limited capacity this week, these guys are really talented. And then the other thing on defense is obviously the secondary. No Chidobe Awuzie. I expect Eli Apple to start at one corner spot, Cam Taylor-Britt to start at the other. Mike Hilton, he has his pinky in a wrap. I expect him to play as I record this. Haven't officially talked to Zach Taylor. I will. But I expect Mike Hilton to play this week. But then after that, Dax Hill's probably your fourth guy and your backup outside guy. And so we'll see. if they elevate someone from the practice squad. I think they will, but certainly bears watching, especially with a guy like DJ Moore on the other side, especially with a guy like Terrace Marshall, who's coming to his own a bit. And you saw it with Donovan Peoples-Jones. Just because you're young, raw, a little inexperienced, well, you're going up against a young, athletic, inexperienced guy in Cam Taylor-Britt. And so he's beatable. In the secondary, beatable. And so to me, the key for the secondary, it's the safeties. You have veteran safeties. Jesse Bates, you got franchise tagged and you're being paid like a top 5 safety for a reason. Von Bell, contract year. You've played really well this year. Not perfect, of course, no one had, but what really well this year. Both of those guys need to pick up everyone else and just hide some of the flaws that we're going to see when you play young players, because guess what? They're young. They're inexperienced. And so that's a big drop-off when you're going from a Chidobe Awuzie to a Cam Taylor-Britt. Not that I don't like Cam Taylor-Britt, and I don't think he's really talented, no doubt about it. It would be nice if the Bengals had a young wide receiver that could plug in and be that wide receiver with some athleticism and all of those things, right? And so the Bengals at least have that at corner. But there are probably going to be some growing pains. And then obviously keep Joe Burrow upright. That's a key every single week. But when you're looking at, a guy like Burns, a guy that the Rams thought was worth 2 first-round picks that the Panthers value so much that they said, nah, we're not doing that deal, it's going to be tough. Keep Joe Burrow upright. And by the way, maybe I should trademark this. Feed 83. TB 83 is the key. Feed 83, 83, 83. I talked about this on Locked On Bengals. I'm going to say it right now. I want Tyler Boyd, because look, the Bengals are going to throw the ball. They're going to throw the ball a ton. That's just what they're going to do. All right. They can't run the ball well right now for a variety of reasons. This video isn't about that. And I'm not going to come on and say, establish the run, attack. I just don't expect them to be able to do that consistently. You know what I do expect them to be able to do if they actually try? Find ways to get Tyler Boyd involved early. I want him to have 12 to 15 targets on Sunday. Seriously. Think Julian Edelman. Think Wes Welker. Think any slot. Think Keenan Allen. Think any kind of slot receiver that's getting a ton of run. That's the guy you want to get the ball to early, because it's going to open things up for T. Higgins. It's going to open things up for guys like Hayden Hurst. It'll make life easier on the back end. So I'm going to get to my prediction in just a second, but those are essentially the keys. Start fast. Stop the run as best as you can. Of course, the turnover thing, I could mention that every week. You got to keep Joe Burrow upright. Of course, that's just such an obvious one. Get Tyler Boyd involved. Huge right there. And obviously, all eyes will be on this secondary as well. Get to my prediction in just a second, but first, a word from my bookie. You know sports, and you pick winners all the time, like I'm about to do right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. So why not get paid for them at MyBookie? MyBookie has the biggest online selection of odds, contests for all of your sports betting needs, anytime, anywhere. Bet on the NFL, NCAA, or swing for the fences with their brand new money bag. That's right, they got the money bag. The MyBookie money bag is a one-of-a-kind opportunity to spin for crazy odds on props and future bets. You just place your bet, spin the wheel, and get ready for epic odds on the best teams, athletes, and events. Sign up today using promo code BengalsTalk to claim a deposit match of any amount up to $1,000. Did you hear that right? So if you deposit $500, use promo code BengalsTalk, boom, you're going to get an extra $500 all the way up to $1,000, whatever you want to deposit. Take advantage of this right now. Again, by going to MyBookie using promo code BengalsTalk. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie and promo code BengalsTalk. This is going to be a tough game, ladies and gentlemen. No doubt about it. Hey, on paper, it wouldn't be. But the Panthers are feeling good about themselves, and the Bengals are injured, and they're limping into this Week 9 game. Figuratively, literally, whatever you want to say. Find a way to win it. Must-win game, and I think they do. I think it comes down to the wire, but I think they do. And this is a big Evan McPherson bounce-back game. I'm going to say it again. Big Evan McPherson bounce-back game. On Locked On this week, my co-host Jake Lisco brought up Evan McPherson's struggles. I was listening to some national podcasts I'm not going to plug, because why would I? They're not paying me to plug those. But I was listening to them, and same thing. It's like, Evan's struggling this year. I don't really buy that. I think he had an awful game on Monday. I don't think he's struggling this year. He hasn't had as many opportunities, I think, as you would imagine. It wasn't really his fault week 1. Everything, all the chaos that ensued there, which is why his numbers are what they are right now. I think he's 11 of 14 on field goal attempts. But I think he gets the MVP. I think he gets a game ball. I think he kicks the game winner, including 3 field goals, 2 extra points. Evan McPherson, Money Mac, late. Bengals win 23-20. They find a way to get a win going into the bye, and then you can collect your breath, as Joe Burrow does most of the time right before he talks to us. He sits down, he goes, all right, I got to deal with James of Locked On Bengals, of Cincinnati Bengals Talk, allbengals.com. Look at how I plugged all that. The point is, I think the Bengals get it done 23-20. We're going to be there, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We have some awesome guests lined up for you post week 9, by the way, for the bye. So, look, we're not taking a break. It's bye week. We aren't taking a break. Andrew Fox Miller is going to see this and be like, what, really? He's our channel coordinator. Yeah, Andrew, you're going to be editing during the bye, my man. Don't you worry. For Andrew Fox Miller, I'm James Rapien, taking the Bengals 23-20 over the Panthers on Sunday. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, because you're going to get post-game reaction from Joe Burrow, Zach Taylor, players in the locker room, and so much more on Sunday. Plus, we'll have our pregame stand-up with the latest injury updates and more. For Andrew, I'm James Rapien, signing off for now on Cincinnati Bengals Talk.